They say wars are fought with armies, weapons, and valor. Yet the truth is far more subtle. Some wars are won, or lost, long before a single sword is drawn. The outcome is quietly scripted in shadows, in whispers behind closed doors, in misread letters, in delayed messages, and in the courage or error of unseen individuals. It is a war where the battlefield is invisible, yet the consequences are enormous. This is the story of the war that was decided before it even began. 10. The calm before the storm. Before the first battle, the world seemed perfectly ordinary. Streets hummed with life, merchants shouted prices, and children ran barefoot, laughing through narrow alleys. Fires glowed in homes, candles flickered in palaces, and soldiers polished armor in the quiet of stables. Diplomats negotiated treaties with calm politeness, confident that agreements would hold. And yet, beneath this serene surface, currents of tension flowed like hidden rivers. Alliances teetered, economies strained, and miscommunication quietly stacked the deck of fate. The world believed it was safe, predictable, and ordinary. But the machinery of history was already moving, setting the stage for a war whose outcome was written before the first drumbeat. 9. Secrets that moved silently. In candlelit halls, decisions whispered in hushed tones carried more weight than cannons. Advisors leaned close, voice low, warning kings and generals of unseen threats. Some warnings were ignored, dismissed as paranoia or bureaucracy. Spies moved in silence, gathering intelligence that could topple kingdoms. Rivals plotted in quiet rooms, predicting missteps, exploiting hesitation, and laying invisible traps. Every delayed message, every misread dispatch, every unseen misjudgment created momentum. While ordinary citizens slept peacefully, empires were already bending toward inevitability. 8. The first domino falls. In the quietest moments, the first domino tipped. A shipment of weapons delayed, a misinterpreted order, a single intelligence report overlooked, all began a chain reaction. Generals relied on incomplete knowledge. Monarchs assumed loyalty where doubts had quietly grown. Diplomats misread intentions, and soldiers marched unknowingly toward predetermined outcomes. That seemingly trivial sequence of events would dictate the rhythm of the coming conflict. The war had begun, not with a trumpet, but with a quiet, almost invisible spark. 7. The advantage of foresight. Victory rarely belongs to the strongest army or the boldest general. It belongs to those who see the battlefield before it exists. The strategist who anticipates hesitation, exploits small errors, and positions their forces wisely holds the invisible reins of destiny. Months or years of preparation dictate supply lines, morale, and alliances. By understanding invisible patterns and exploiting weaknesses, some leaders essentially wrote the outcome of the war in advance. Those unaware would fight valiantly, but their courage could not alter what had already been set in motion. 6. Mistakes that multiplied. Even minor errors that night expanded like fire across dry timber. A miscounted regiment, a delayed courier, an underestimated enemy. Each mistake multiplied unpredictably. Decisions compounded, intertwining in ways impossible to untangle. Some who acted decisively strengthened their position, others who hesitated deepened their vulnerability. By the time the first cannon roared or the first sword clashed, victory and defeat were no longer determined by skill or valor alone, but by the invisible architecture of preparation, error, and foresight. 5. Courage and misjudgment intertwined. That night revealed how courage and error could collide catastrophically. Some defied protocol to seize fleeting opportunities, while others hesitated, misjudged, or failed to act. Every courageous choice intersected with error, amplifying consequences in unexpected ways. Soldiers who would later fight bravely were already dancing along a path pre-scripted by unseen hands. The world subtly tilted. The balance of power shifted long before the first visible act of combat. The night was both cruel and precise, reshaping destinies silently yet profoundly. 4. Lives caught in the machine. Countless ordinary lives were swept into a storm they could never comprehend. Families awoke to unfamiliar rulers and strange laws. Villages faced raids or taxes that had been preordained by decisions far away. Soldiers marched into unknown terrain, unaware their fates were intertwined with choices made months or years prior. Merchants lost livelihoods. Children saw strange banners. Elders sensed change without understanding its origin. Each life, each heartbeat, each whisper of fear or courage contributed to a larger pattern, a tapestry already woven long before the battle lines appeared. 3. The battlefield unseen. The real battlefield existed long before armies faced each other. Logistics, espionage, diplomacy, and alliances formed a landscape invisible to ordinary eyes, yet more decisive than any clash of swords. Generals who assumed advantage on the plains were often merely responding to conditions predetermined by unseen forces. The first volley of arrows, the first clash of steel, was merely an echo of a war already decided in secret rooms, letters, and whispered warnings. Victory depended less on battlefield heroics and more on understanding the invisible architecture of strategy, patience, and foresight. 2. The ripple across generations. The consequences of that night were felt for decades. Borders shifted, trade routes changed, populations moved along paths they could not foresee. Alliances dissolved, economies adjusted, cultures intertwined in ways history rarely reveals. One seemingly insignificant choice, a delayed letter, a misread map, a moment of hesitation rippled across centuries, shaping generations in ways no one at the time could imagine. History is not linear. It bends and twists along hidden currents, often invisible, yet inexorable. That night exemplified how a single sequence of quiet, unnoticed moments can reshape the destiny of the world. 1. The lesson history leaves. The war teaches a lesson that resonates across time. Outcomes are often determined long before the visible struggle begins. Power, foresight, preparation, and understanding hidden currents outweigh courage, strength, or immediate strategy. Every small choice, unnoticed error, or quiet insight can redirect the course of nations. The future is fragile, and history's true battles are often invisible. One night, one decision, one error, one act of foresight can determine the fate of millions. The war may not yet have begun, but in the quiet hours before, the victory or defeat had already been written. Even today, as we observe maps, treaties, and alliances, unseen battles continue to be fought in corridors, offices, and hidden networks. The lesson remains eternal. Courage and valor matter. But preparation, insight, and anticipation of unseen forces often determine who wins before the fight is ever known. History is silent yet precise. And the war, like many before and many after, was decided long before the world realized it had even begun.